Hi, Izzy. Well done for getting through.
I thought you'd be on somewhere, getting fanned in Ghana and having a
3 minutes
cocktail.
from the beach, so not too far away.
That's enough information. We don't need to know any. We're already jealous.
You got a little palm tree in there as well.
I do
It's
have
gonna be
my
your
mini
beach
palm.
house.
You're in Aylesbury, really, aren't you?
I am, yeah. You sussed me out.
Well, we've heard all about
From Lydia. So no, you're obviously doing some great things, Izzy, and earning some well deserved R&R, I'm sure. Or are you working?
I am working constantly. It's very different living in a hot country versus working in a hot country. A lot less glamorous.
Well,
Lydia described you as a force of nature, and I said to Lydia, that's what someone described her as to me the other day. So I'm looking forward to this conversation between two forces of nature. So over to you, Lydia.
Great, thanks for joining us, Izzy. So I've already told everybody a little bit about Foundervine, and I know that obviously Foundervine exists to change the face of entrepreneurship by supporting diverse entrepreneurs and founders, and that you work with a number of corporate organisations to do this. So have you found that the organisations you work with have a diverse supplier programme?
It's been quite interesting conversation with the partners that we work with around this, and as you can expect, the answer is different depending on the internal priorities of the organisations we are working with, their size, seriously they've taken diversity and inclusion to date. And since everything kicked off globally around Black Lives Matter and this renewed conversation around race diversity in particular, we've seen many more organisations thinking not just about what diversity and inclusion looks like internally, but what it looks like in the communities they're serving and what it looks like in the suppliers that they work with. But in all honesty, I think particularly with larger organisations that have the capacity to look into how their supply chains can be more diverse, we're still seeing far too much short-termism. And what I mean by that is that the narrative around how communities can be supported and obviously diversifying the supply chains has massive gains in terms of innovation, in terms of transparency, in terms of all these things. But if we look at it from the perspective of the impact it will have on supporting the communities around you, there is still too much focus on short-term initiatives in which people from diverse backgrounds or companies from diverse backgrounds are given opportunities to either share or engage in different ways with these organisations, but still too few conversations about what can actually happen to increase capacity within these organisations, support them in building the capacity that they need to then become suppliers from some of the companies we're working with. The real mixed bag. I think we have a longer way to go in terms of the narrative around diversity than we do, let's say, around diversifying internally or supporting communities around you through CSR, etc.
You're almost implying that there's a bit of a tick box exercise here. It's a bit short-termism.
So I'm putting myself out of a job a little bit here, but
sorry,
the
I
nature of our work.
try and make that happen.
I'm used to being direct working with Lydia here today.
I see that. But so the nature of our work is kind of working with organisations on short-term programs to work with them to support entrepreneurs and small businesses more effectively. So we just launched a program with Barclays, for example, supporting 25 Black-owned businesses to build their investment readiness capacity. We're working with a number of other institutions, including banks, to do that piece. And I would say that the conversation around how do we leverage our internal resource and leverage our budget to support businesses from diverse backgrounds to grow, the conversation's there and things are happening. We wouldn't be doing what we do if it wasn't there. But that conversation around how do we actually integrate these businesses into our supply chains, what programs can we run internally to actually support in building capacity so they can enter our supply chains in the future? Are we actually doing EDI exercises on our supply chain and actually holding our suppliers accountable for the diversity efforts that they have internally? I'm not seeing enough of that yet, and I think there's a long way to go. And I'm seeing brilliant organisations within our network who are consulting and supporting organisations in terms of how they can build inclusion better within their institutions. But it's just a longer way to go, I think, and more work needs to be done in terms of companies feeling empowered and confident to say to organizations in their supply chain, what are you doing in terms of diversity? How are you supporting diversity internally and in the communities that you support? But moreover, as a company, how are we making sure that the suppliers in our supply chain actually reflect the society around us more? So there's two pieces to that, which I think a lot more work needs to happen on.
And you referenced Barclays, and you work with lots of, I mean, we were hearing sort of people that you've been working with before you joined us. Any other case studies that stand out for you of action that's been taken that is really reaping rewards?
Yeah, so interestingly, this isn't a UK-based
So I'm going off
example.
script here a bit, Izzy, so but bear with me, but just good to hear where it is actually working.
No worries. It's not a UK-based example, but we spent some time talking to an organisation, a supermarket chain in South Africa. I don't think they'll mind me mentioning Pick n Pay. And they have done an incredible amount of work to support Black-owned businesses, and South Africa has a very different history when it comes to race than the UK does. But they've done an incredible amount of work to run programs that allow smaller providers to build capacity through mentoring, through support, through training, to then go into the Pick n Pay supply chain. And I'm seeing that as a model that's worked in South Africa, and we've been kind of having quite a number of conversations about those kinds of models. But I can't, off the top of my head, think of, particularly in the organisations we're working with, the same kind of structured program. I look at organisations like MSD UK, who do an incredible amount of work to support diverse businesses getting into supply chains, you know, supplier diversity, etc. And there is work being done there. I think the point I'm trying to make is that in terms of the structured programs that allow businesses to enter the supply chain, and that's what we ideally need, that longer term thinking, I haven't necessarily seen it there to the extent that I know we need it to happen going forward. If we want the change that we keep talking about, particularly after Black Lives Matter and all these global events as well.
Come up in lots of the conversations we've had today. We need those case studies, those examples, so that we can all take their lead, really, and learn from them. So learn from the good work that they're doing. So, I mean, the next question we had is, why should organisations be interested in diversifying their procurement? I think you pretty well covered that, but I don't know if there's anything you want to particularly add to that question.
Yeah, I think the main point to say there is that we have a lot of conversations in the D&I space about why people should care, and you generally get people who fall on the business case for diversity and try to convince these organizations that it's going to have, you know, an impact on return on investment, and, you know, it's going to make you more innovative and and then organizations that just get more of the moral case and the need to actually have an organization that reflects society at large. And, you know, regardless of kind of where you stand on that, diversifying supply chains is part of a bigger piece of work that all organizations need to be doing now, saying, you know, where are we going? Who do we want to be in the future? What is our vision for our business within the society at large? And what are we doing internally and externally in order to get there? There are huge benefits in terms of making organizations more innovative, reflecting the people and the customers you work with, and all of the impact it can have on brands having a more diverse supply chain. But one of the most important things is that if you are not bringing on more diverse suppliers, and not just diversity in terms of ethnicity or gender or whatever, if you are not bringing in a broader pool of suppliers, you are potentially wasting money. You are not providing yourself with the greatest amount of selection in order to help your business grow. And there are so many other benefits to get there. So I'm a huge advocate for organizations thinking about how they can become more innovative and how they can build organizations that will stand the test of time. Because going forward, when it comes to an organization's success, it's not going to be always defined by, the results or the success you can deliver for shareholders. It's the results and success you can deliver for society, for the environment, for communities. And you need to start from suppliers, you need to start from the people internally. And there's a long way to go, but I hope we're getting there.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you've touched a bit on it, but I mean, what practical steps then do you think organisations can do to rethink and include diverse suppliers in their procurement process?
Yeah, I think one of the first steps is conducting an audit of a D&I, and there are a number of organisations that can support with that work if it's not in-house, of just kind of understanding where you are at the moment. What's the current state? How do you score in terms of inclusion and diversity when it comes to your processes, your practices, your procedures, all of those things? And I think for a lot of organizations, they will be surprised, maybe not pleasantly surprised at how low they score with these things, particularly when it comes to ethnicity statistics, because I would say that until now, it's not been at the forefront of employer minds in the same way that the gender conversation has progressed. And so I think there's a huge piece that needs to be done in terms of just evaluating the current state and then investing in that. So not just kind of getting a few people to work on these efforts alongside their day jobs, but actually investing and bringing in external consultants who understand these issues to support you to go from where you are to where you need to be. And once that's there, just really putting your stake in the ground and saying, this is who we are. I think that what strong diversity and inclusion efforts look like will be different in different organizations. And there's a piece around benchmarking and comparing, but just really speaking to colleagues and understanding what they want, understanding what having a stronger organization looks like, a more innovative, creative organization looks like, because all of those are tied in. I think that will come from working with external consultants who understand your needs and can work with you to get there. But trying to do it in-house, off the side of a desk, or having worse kind of performative gestures to indicate that you are being a more diverse or inclusive organization just won't achieve the results that we really need to see in order to move forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Some real good practical things to do there.
Fascinating stuff, yeah.
Thank you so much, Izzy. We will let you get back to your busy schedule because I know how mad crazy busy you are. But it's really nice to have had you part of this first series on EDI, don't you think?
Oh,
Richard?
wonderful. What time is it with you there, Izzy?
We're on the same time, so
right, okay.
45, yeah.
Okay.
12:45.
It's like 3 in the morning or something, but not at all jealous that you're 20 minutes.
I don't think she's that committed of a friend. She'll be like, no, yeah, I love you, but that's not happening.
Well, you'll be pleased to know it's actually chucking it down here as you're 20 minutes from the beach. So enjoy. How long are you over in Ghana for?
So I've been here for 1.5 years. So I live here and work remotely in the UK. So I'm back in a month, very, very briefly, but then I'll be back here. But I've got 3 fans trained on me at the moment. So it is very hot.
You're looking very cool. We'll let you go. We'll let you go.
Thank you very much for joining us, Izzy.
Thank you
take
so
care.
Much.
Cheers.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
See you later.